the event that there are any news bulletins concerning the national emergency during our session of the Goodwill hour tonight, our program will be interrupted so that you may hear them. All right, now, Mr. Frank, our first case, please. It is the case of Mr. K.B. All right, your problem, please.
Mr. Anthony, I lost my father about a year ago, and I was left with a widowed mother, who was living with a male of my father up until the time of my father's death.
I see.
About 2 months, during about a week later, after we come out of shock, I met a woman I reside, and through some means we fell in love. I was courting her for a while, and then I found out she was engaged to a man in the armed forces of a foreign nation.
I see.
He corresponds with her quite frequently, and she too with him. Now the courtship is going along well, and I'd like to know how I can stop her from writing to him. Of course, I love this girl very much. I wouldn't give her up. I have a job now, Mr. Anthony, and I support my mother on this $24 a week. So, now by going with this girl, I'm giving up all hope. My mother is very ill, and I'm going to sacrifice. So it's a question whether I stay with this girl under the conditions
to me, I see. So it's rather a question of whether or not the girl is with you, is she?
Yes.
Does she want to stop corresponding with her former fiancé? And that you are, she doesn't. Then the question that you ask me, how can I stop her, does she? Not well founded. She doesn't want to stop her.
No.
She's to be the judge of her opponent. You're not to force your will on anyone at all. In particular, a person that you claim to be in love with. Marrying with people who have hopes of marrying this young woman. Is that true? Before you're married. Look, my friend, you better learn before your decision that decisions of that kind must come from other sense of perspective. In other words, upon impose your desires or will upon anyone unless they want to partake in that desire. It seems to me that her young woman, if she's desirous of should be connected with the gentleman that you speak of, should be asked to do so. As a matter of fact, I doubt whether you have any right to even love with her. I can understand that you're in love with her, and that's so, and I'm sympathetic. But the love woman, if it must be reciprocated by this young woman, of course, if not, then there should be no kind of at all. On your story, I gather that some understanding might endure the fact that both of you. But the fact that you also tell me that she refuses to cease this correspondence because they do think very highly of his other then I fail to see how you can call it a courtship or a romance.
Well, so happens that this is her first love, and she's engaged him again, but she feels that she may never see me again, and she's keeping company with me. It's the hope that I may better myself instead of the conditions at home.
Well, I don't
because of my father's death.
At all relate to that situation. I don't think related to the important problem. I don't think the young woman should be discouraged from writing to a man that she's engaged to. I think she should let you require big enough to understand she should. He has her moral support and she should corresponding with him. As far as you're to do anything, I don't think that you have the right to expect to do anything like that. And besides that, my position as much admits that you're unable to provide your mother, young woman, and at the same time provide. I think your mother was very ill, I understand. There's no reason, however, a young woman to do as she sees fit, and advice to. But don't, above all, go ahead.
I'd like the friendship to go further than that.
Well, I don't know that I wouldn't like to go further than that myself, but that's a decision that must be mutually agreed upon between both of you. And remember one thing. Don't try to force your will upon this girl at this time, or at any other time in the future. The decision arrived at must be mutually beneficial. Otherwise, the decision would not be any good. That is, insofar as discontinuing her correspondence with the other man. That's what I mean. Do you understand me?
Yes.
That's my advice to you.
Thank you.
Our next case, Mr. Anthony, Mrs. A.M. Go ahead, please.
My sister died, leaving a baby, and she asked me to take this child and raised it up as my own. And here of late, the child has begun to ask me, am I her mother? So my sister told me to never tell her that I wasn't her mother. So I want to know, should I tell the child now that I'm not her mother?
I see. You say that your sister turned over the custody of the child to you a short time before her death. How long ago was that?
5 years.
And you've had the child ever since?
Yes.
And one of the promises that your sister exacted from you at that time was that you are not to reveal to the child that you're her aunt. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm. What about the father of this child?
The father has never seen the child. She's forsaken the mother before the child was born.
I see. Now, you've got this child, and the child is now about 5 years old.
Yes.
And she's beginning to question you, is
Yes,
she?
began to question me.
Brought about by what? Would you know?
I think it
Difference
must be
in
the
name?
neighbors, I think, don't you know, must be talking to us.
And there's also a difference in name, I gather.
No, she goes under the same name.
I see. And some of the neighbors have suggested that this child is not yours, that you are not this child's mother, and she's questioned you, and now you ask me what to tell her.
Yes.
Is that right? Well, in the first place, I think the promise you made, I can understand the promise that you made at the time. I don't think it's a promise, however, that need be kept.
Yes.
If that's been disturbing you, you might forgive yourself if you reveal the truth to the child. The child should know the truth. And you might feel that your conscience might disturb you in the event that you disregard the promise you made to your departed sister. But I think you can be forgiven for that, because the promise must have been made in a very trying circumstances. I would tell the child the truth. Now, how that's done, of course, is another matter. That can be done very gently, kindly, and the child might be able to understand. I think the child is just a bit too young, however, to have the truth revealed to her. But I might suggest this. If you feel that you're not capable of telling her the truth very gently and understandingly, you might consult your spiritual advisor and have her, or your physician, or a close member of the family that you have a good deal of confidence in. But the child should know the truth. That's the important thing. And as to the means of revealing the truth to her, that's something that must be decided according to the intelligence and the ability of the child to understand. That's my advice in that situation. But above all, reveal the truth.
At this time, we pause for an important message from Roland Winters. And my message is for that girl who's so lonely and unhappy. Miss, is this what you're thinking?
Mary's having a party, but I won't be asked. I never am. Oh, why can't I be like other girls?
Well, that's too bad. But look, will you give me just 1 minute of your time? Let me explain something. If you're so unattractively thin, so listless and on edge, so pale and washed out looking, that it's hard to make friends and have good times, very likely you're simply not getting enough vitamin B and iron from your daily food. Scientists tell us that's what's wrong with thousands of girls like yourself. And men, too. You see, without enough vitamin B, you may not get the most good out of your food, or you may lack appetite, not eat enough to maintain normal weight and strength. And without enough iron, you may be weak, pale, and tired. But listen, nowadays you can get these vital substances in pleasant little tablets, ironized yeast tablets. That's why they quickly help thousands to gain glorious new strength and breath. 5, 10, even more pounds of firm, attractive flesh. Just think how wonderful it would be for you to be more attractive, more popular. So if you're thin, tired, and run down from lack of vitamin B and iron, then don't wait. Say to your druggist right away.
A bottle of ironized yeast tablets, please.
And now, Miss Anthony, the case of Mrs. R.P.
All right, madam. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Anthony, when I was 15, I met a man 11 years old. I married 2 years later. We had 2 children. When I was 20, I contracted a serious disease. I was sent to a sanatorium. My husband was afraid of this disease, and didn't come to see me and hardly write to me. While I was there, I met a man 22 years older. His kindness made me fall in love with him, and he was me. His wife divorced him.
And the result was meeting you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, please.
And I got a divorce from my husband. We were married, and I know now that there was too much difference in our age. we're very unhappy. We have nothing in common. And I wonder, Mr. Anthony, if I should stay married to him or should I separate, try to find happiness.
I see. Let me ask you a few questions, please. Tell me, at the age of 15, you met someone 11 years older, then subsequently 2 years later you married, and as a result of this marriage, 2 children were born to you before you were 20, or at the time you were 20.
That's right.
And then you took seriously ill, and necessity had to be sent to a sanitarium. There you met another man whose kindness and understanding caused you to fall in love with him. You subsequently divorced your husband. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
What happened to the 2 children?
They were their father.
I see. You were forced to give these children up, were you?
When I obtained my divorce.
I see. You were forced to give these children up. And you felt that sacrificing the love of your children would be all right in view of the fact that you thought that you might be compensated through the love of this second man. Is that
That's
true?
Right.
And to your great misfortune, you were found that is not so? Have you seen these children at all during that period of 10 years?
Oh, yes. Very often.
Very often. And they're happy with their father, are they?
There happens a combination of
Mm-hmm.
with him and myself.
Did the gentleman that you married, did he have any children?
No, he did not.
And yet he was willing to sacrifice his wife so that he might marry you, with the fact that he felt that he was in love with you. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Were you finally cured of this illness?
Yes, I have.
And your husband?
Yes, he's cured.
You was too. And now you ask me how you can possibly find happiness. In view of the fact that you've attempted to find happiness on 2 occasions and didn't succeed in either. Is that it? Well, perhaps there's a reason for it. And I think if we can discover the reason, we probably will know the solution. The reason that you haven't been able to find happiness is that you're always looking for something that's elusive, something that doesn't exist. Now, when you married your husband at the age of 17, you were not ready for marriage. You were not mature sufficiently to understand and know what marriage is. Therefore, you were seeking something to your immature mind that didn't exist, something quite elusive. Then you met a man years later, and you didn't tell me how much older he is.
22 years.
22 years older. At the time you were 20, you met a man 40. And then you thought that you found that elusive something, and you divorced your husband and gave up 2 children, God's greatest blessing, for the love of a man, or so you thought. Well, if you stop looking for elusive things, perhaps you will be happy. A woman like you can find happiness. And that happiness can be found in helping others. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you is that you're a bit too self-centered. That your happiness, that your well-being, your desires have always been placed far above those around you. And as a consequence, my dear, you've suffered. I don't want you to think that I'm unkind. I'm not. But if I must be unkind to point out to you your great failing, then I'm kindness itself in reaching windows to you. Help others. You're willing to help others, no matter how small that help might be. That's the greatest thing that a woman like you can do. Because in helping others, you'll be helping yourself. I wouldn't try to have that in marriage if I were you. I don't think you'll find happiness there, because even if you do, you will then be building happiness upon the unhappiness of another individual. Again, that self-centered, little bit selfish situation. Do you understand? No, this man unquestionably loves you. You do love him in your own way. I don't think it's very wise. I don't think the marriage was a good marriage or a wise marriage to begin with. But he loves you in his own way. Of course, he's a bit too old for you. You want me to gather or want me to believe, and you feel that you might find a great contentment with younger people around you. Is that
That's right, yes.
No, I don't think you ought to break this marriage. He's doing the best he can for you. He's supporting you to the very best of his ability, isn't he? And he shows you the greatest amount of devotion and love that he's capable of. Do you think so?
Yes, I do.
By all means, stay married to him. Don't cause him any unhappiness, and don't keep spending the rest of your life looking for something so elusive you can't touch it, see it, or feel it. Go out and love and help others. Do for others what others have done for you, and in that way you will find happiness within your heart, because then you'll be answering God's needs. That's my advice to you.
Thank you.
Our next case, Mr. Anthony, Mrs. S.T.
Go ahead, please.
Mr. Anthony, I'm talking to a friend of mine. He was married very happily for... They are married 16 years. They were married happily for 12 years.
You were married to these friends of yours were married happily for a period of 12 years?
Yes.
But they are married 16.
Yes.
All right. Go ahead.
4 years ago, she had a child.
Uh-huh.
And ever since the child was born, there has been difficulty in the house.
Mm-hmm.
She had a nervous breakdown which left her mentally down.
Mm-hmm.
So now, all of a sudden, she decided to get a separation from her husband. She took the child out of state and filed the separation suit. Now, the men would like to know if they would fight the case, he most likely certainly would have to put an institution, which he doesn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he really don't know what to do. Should he fight the case? Or should he brought 14 charges against him, which he doesn't like.
They're untrue? Is that what you mean?
Some of them are, and some of them aren't.
I see.
90%.
All right, don't tell me what they are. Go ahead.
And he would like to know, should he fight the case and put her in an institution, or should he settle everything quietly and just leave her go on to the she was?
If I understand this problem correctly, it's simply this. Your friends are separated, and the husband feels that, and he knows, as a matter of fact, that his wife is mentally sick.
Yes.
And he feels that if he contests this legal action she brought against him, it would be necessary for him to reveal a mental illness. Is that the point you make?
Yes.
I doesn't want her to go to an institution?
No.
And therefore, the question has come into his mind whether or not to contest the action?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think that he's being kind by not contesting the action. If this woman is mentally sick, then she belongs in an institution. Whether the husband wants her there or not is not a point. It would do her more good to be cared for medically, that is properly, than it would be for her to be permitted to go ahead with this action, no matter whether the action is an important one or unimportant. I think that the husband would be rendering his wife, who, according to your story, I gather that he's still very fond of her.
Yes.
I think he would be rendering her a great service if she were placed in an institution where she could receive the proper care. That would be his greatest service to her, and not the rather gallant action of not defending this suit that is being brought against him. If the woman needs medical attention in an institution, that's where she belongs, and that's what the husband should do, regardless whether or not he defends the action. That's unimportant, and you tell him that my advice is that you do place her in an institution if it's possible and if she needs the help. Now, Mr. Frank, before proceeding, I'd like a word with our listeners. Friends, the best recommendation for any product is the word-for-word testimony of its satisfied users. Here are 2 such letters of appreciation from among the thousands which we have received.
Mr. Joseph Musa of New York City writes the first letter. He says, ironized yeast made a complete change in my life. I've gained 10 pounds in a few short months, and I haven't felt so well and strong in years. I claim that ironized yeast has helped me say this. And here is what Mrs. Lawrence Boris of Chicago writes.
I had heard so much about ironized yeast, but always had some doubt whether it would do everything that people claimed. But I decided to try it out, as I myself was run down and losing weight, and my 9-year-old girl was so pale, nervous, thin, and lacking in appetite. Well, to date, I have gained 9 pounds, and my girl 4 pounds. She has a much better appetite and looks and feels so much better. I've no more doubt about ironized yeast.
And friends, if you too need vitamin D and iron, or some member of your family does, ask your druggist for the one and only ironized yeast tablets tonight or the first thing tomorrow morning. Now, Mr. Anthony, the case of Mrs. T.R.
All right, madam, go ahead, please.
32 years ago, Mr. Anthony.
Speak up, I can hardly hear you.
32 years ago, Mr. Anthony, I married a very fine, well-educated young man, a young lawyer.
A young lawyer?
Lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
In course of time, 2 children were born, a girl and a son whom he never saw because he died. I took those 2 children to Europe after I was not able to raise them myself. After 2.5 years, my father died, and I worked my way over to just stewardess to get the children back. When I came back, I found that I could not, as a governess, have the children with me, and so I had to take a housekeeper's position to bring them up. In 1917, I married again, also a very well-educated man. But somehow he didn't care for the boy. He was a very humble fellow because boys are mischievous. I took those 2 children and walked away. Went back to the town I came from and raised them myself. Now they're both grown up. The boy is a certified public accountant, has a wife and child, and the girl now is a clerk. She also has a small daily post. None of those children can help in any way.
Now, just try to control yourself, please. Go
I
ahead.
have a little apartment I do want to keep. I don't want them to take that way too. But I don't know how to hold it. At the end of the month, I let it sit at the end of the month. Then I don't know where to go. I don't want to lose it. I have thought of rent, of putting a film for storage, but that would be next time spent for storage fee that I haven't got, and I'm still homeless. I thought of renting it out all, but I have to be homeless. It took me 1 day. That is the sale with some buildings. I don't know, just very much emotionally upset. I don't know.
All right, let me see. How old are you now?
60 years old.
60?
Yes.
Well, you've had what I might call a magnificent life. Even though you might be suffering at this very moment, your life has been a magnificent one and a noble one. You raised your children to the very best of your ability, and you gave them every care and attention. You tell me that mother could, under very trying circumstances. You tell me that your son is now a certified public accountant?
Yes.
Is he employed, is he?
Yes, he is.
Can't he contribute in some fashion?
No,
Sustenance?
he was at and saw me, and his father isn't very well, and he really can't.
You see, you're permitting, madam, I believe you're permitting this instinct of yours to work to your own detriment. Now, I don't know just what your son's income is, and I don't know how much he can for, but certainly, a mother like you, a mother who has done the things for her children, deserves some sort of help from those that can give it to her. And I think your son can give you some measure of assistance, regardless of how small it is. I gather from your story that your daughter is unable to do that.
Yes.
I understand that because her husband's income is rather small. But certainly your son should be able to do something for you.
He understands that he's separated from his wife, and he has 2 households to support. He has to pay his woman for somewhere, and then his wife, and the baby seems to be always sick.
Nice. So wouldn't it be advisable for you to live with your son and therefore avoid the upkeep of another household?
No, I've never met his wife. So they're married 8 years,
I see.
and she doesn't. I don't know.
Just a moment, madam. We will continue with this case in just a moment. Right now, here is a news bulletin. Canada has joined the Dutch government in exile. The Dutch East Indies and Latin American nation of Costa Rica are declaring war on Japan. President Roosevelt and his cabinet are in session at this moment, debating Japan's declaration of war on the United States. Washington is an armed camp with sentries in steel helmets guarding all of the world. A strict censorship has been clamped on all radio messages and cablegrams, and the War Department has taken over the issuance of Army news. Congress is expected to be called into session tomorrow, probably to declare a state of war with Japan. Secretary Hull says that he has received messages of cooperation from most South American nations, and it is probable that they will join in the war declaration tomorrow. The British government, against whom Japan also has declared war, has called a special session of Parliament. A British gunboat has been attacked in the harbor of Shanghai, and reports reaching the NBC newsroom indicate that British naval bases in the Far East are under attack all along the coast, also going to Hawaii and the island of Guam.
The War Department says that 104 members of our armed forces have been killed and 300 have been wounded on the island of Oahu. This figure is admittedly only an estimate and does not include civilian casualties. The United States fleet has joined the United States Air Force in action against Japan. Our planes took off from Manila in the Philippines as the Japanese attack began shortly after noon today, and tonight, General Douglas MacArthur has warned all women and children in the Philippines to leave the coastal cities and go into the interior. Here at home, the cities on our west coast are in a state of armed alert. Mayor Rossi of San Francisco has called for a cessation of all strikes. In Los Angeles, air raid warning sirens have been ready for immediate action. Secretary Morgenthau has closed the nation's borders to Japanese nationals. And the FBI is ready to round up all the citizens of Japan in this country. All servicemen have been ordered back to work, and both Navy and Army officers will henceforth dress in uniform in public at all times. Recruiting officers of the Army, Navy, and the Marine Corps will open earlier than usual tomorrow morning. Reaction to the Pacific War has been swift. Political lines have been almost wiped out. Senator Wheeler of Montana, a leading isolationist, says we must do the best we can to lick Japan. And the Chicago Tribune, one of the leading isolationist papers, prints this headline for tomorrow morning: Our country, right or wrong. One of the immediate consequences of Japan's war declaration was the granting of a closed shop in the captured coal mines, meeting the demands of the CIO. And this assured peace in the coal fields, for coal is essential to defense. A bulletin just handed me. Berlin, Monday. Obligated under the three-power pact to go to Japan's assistance if Japan is attacked, Germany referred early today to hostilities in the Pacific as clashes. A special communique failed to clarify Germany's intentions. A Japanese-controlled radio station, a Shanghai broadcast, a Japanese report tonight saying a large number of Thai military...
You tell me that if you're unable to continue as governess, is that the point you'd like to make?
Yes.
And you feel that in the event you give up this apartment, you'll still be homeless, and there's nothing else that you can see in the immediate future. But wouldn't there be a possibility of you taking up home with your son, as I pointed out a moment ago?
No.
Well, tell me why.
Because the wife has TV.
I see. Well, but you tell me, however, that your son does not reside with his wife. Is that true?
No.
Just a moment, please. Never mind the reason. You tell me that your son does not reside with his wife. Your son resides alone. Is that true? Why then can you not take up home with your son and keep house for him? That would be a comparatively easy work for you, would it not?
Yes, but my son lives in New York.
I'm going to ask you, madam, not to mention names of places
My
or...
son lives away from me and goes to college at night.
I see. That still does not make any material difference insofar as I can see. The place of residence that your son may maintain seems to be no bar for your residence with him. You're alone in this world. You're a woman of 60. You have no one but your two children. And in view of the fact that your son does reside alone and is unable to contribute toward your support, I think the ideal solution to your problem would be to live with him in the event that he cannot help support you. Failing that, there would seem to be nothing except to again take up work, which you tell me that you're not able at this time because of illness. Isn't that so? I think that your son owes it to you, madam, to provide some means of sustenance for you at your age. Would it be possible for me to speak to your son? Or would you rather not have that take place?
Well, my son can only take very little for the soonest room that he has. And he couldn't help me with
Nice.
He couldn't feed me.
I see. Well, are you capable of doing any kind of work at all?
Yes, I sew very well.
Uh-huh. And you feel that you could earn your livelihood by being a seamstress. Is that right? Is that right?
I wouldn't say seamstress. I cannot touch the clothing.
But you can sew.
Yes, I can sew.
Well, I'd like to help you, madam. Certainly, if anyone deserves help, you do. And I don't know just what I can do for you. Then I'm going to ask you to remain. Perhaps by that time, some help can be secured for you. But regardless of the help that we are able to extend to you, I mean material help, I still believe that you ought to make some sort of demand upon your son to provide for you in some measure, no matter how small that measure is. In other words, I don't think that he should be relieved of complete responsibility for you. I think he should be able to do something for you, and I'm going to ask you to remain at the close of this session. Perhaps I can be of greater help to you at that time.
Our next case, Mr. Anthony, Mr. T.C.
All right, sir. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Anthony, I was the only child of divorced parents. And my parents divorced when I was very young. I lived with my father about 8 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And through correspondence with my mother's book, I managed to come in with money that my mother sent me.
I see. This correspondence between you and your mother's people has been going on for some time, has it?
Well, for about, yes.
In other words, what I'm trying to determine is whether or not you've been in constant touch with your mother since the divorce of your parents.
Since I've been in high school.
I see. All right.
I graduated.
Prior to that, you were not in communication with your mother?
No.
I see. All right, go ahead.
Now, both parents had married, and I found it difficult living with my stepmother. So, I thought it would be well to come see. Now, I find it difficult living with my stepfather because I can't fit into his life. He thinks differently and everything, every way. And so 2 weeks ago, I moved to a room by myself, and I have a job here.
Okay.
And my superiors told me that I could, I had a promotion coming up, and so I don't know whether to remain here and keep my job so I can go to college, or move back where I came from and work with my father's folks under that and earn just a meager sum, and take longer to go to college, or try to fight it out here and make up with my stepfather. I know I never can make up with my stepmother.
I see.
It's impossible.
Uh-huh. How old are you now?
I'm 18.
18. Well, you tell me that you came to visit your mother because you wanted to again establish a relationship between you after not having seen her many years. You've been a bit unhappy with your stepfather. However, you were able to secure a position that enables you to support yourself and with advancement coming up. Is that right? And if you remain at this work, what work is that? A newspaper. Oh, you're working at a newspaper now. And if you remain there, you'll be able to go to college as you always desired to go. But you feel that your friends here, that's what I gather. You have the friends that you did have back home. Is that right?
Well, yes, Mr. Anthony. I haven't the same, ingenuity as you might say, as to take up friends as I did as I did.
I see. Well, I think the line of least resistance in your particular case would be to remain where you are. By your own story, you tell me that you believe it's going to be far more difficult for you to get along with your stepmother than it would be for you to get along with your stepfather. That's exactly what you said. Yes, if you can possibly resume the friendship that you thought you might be able to establish when you first arrived at his home, I would certainly suggest that you do so. Economically, you seem to be better off where you are, therefore I recommend that you remain where you are. The question of happiness, which is always a very relative question, I think can be solved by an 18-year-old aggressive young man, such as you are, in a very short time. The friendship that you might have with your stepfather, certainly the love and devotion that your mother is ready and willing to extend to you, will help you. You have friends among your acquaintances at your work, and you're going to go to college. All of these things will gradually tend to create a happier being as time goes along. It seems to me logical that you remain where you are, continue at your work, and to resume the friendship and again make up with your stepfather. That would seem to be the most logical thing to do, and that's my advice.
Before Mr. Anthony hears the rest of tonight's cases, a reminder to you, our listeners. Friends, invest your money so it will do you and our country the most good. Buy Defense Savings Bonds. You pay only $18.75, and by 1951 you'll receive $25. That means an actual increase in your investment of 33 1/3%. So buy as many defense savings bonds as you can. Your money is as safe as the nation itself, and you'll be helping to keep America the strongest nation on the face of the globe. See your postmaster or banker today. We pause for station identification. The original Goodwill Hour, conducted by John J. Anthony, author of Marriage and Family Problems and How to Solve Them, and founder of the famed Marital Relations Institute, now continues as Mr. Anthony hears the case of Mrs. S.D.
Friends, before we hear the case of Mrs. S.D., may I remind you that if there are any news bulletins concerning the national emergency during our session of the Goodwill Hour tonight, our program will be interrupted so that you may hear them. And now, madam, go ahead, please.
Mr. Anthony, I married a widower about a year ago. 2 children. And when I first met him, I had my own apartment. And he said it was just temporarily that he would establish a home for us, meaning the 2 children, myself and him. Now, this has been going on, Mr. Anthony, for some time. He hasn't made any kind of a move.
You've been married to him about a year?
Yes, just 1 year ago.
And he's taken up residence in your home? Yes. And he hasn't established the home that he had promised you. Is that it?
No,
all right, go ahead.
The children are at a boarding house not far away from where I live. And it seems he visits them every night in the week, leaving me alone. He promises to come right back, but he's gone to all hours of the night. Now, Mr. Anthony, I have to become a mother, and I'm alone most of the time. And I need proper care and proper food. And he's making a very good salary, and he could support us all very nicely. And I would like to know if I should talk to the children myself. You know, I would do anything to make that girl happy. She's about 15, and I would do anything in my power to have. I would treat her as a sister. The boy is 19.
Is this your first marriage?
Yes.
How old are you?
38.
38, I see. All right, go ahead.
And I don't know what to do, Mr. Anthony. I come to you for advice. I know you help so many other people. I'm sure you could help me. If I should talk to the children or not, he says they come first. Their first consideration.
Has he ever told you why he hasn't established the home that he promised you?
I did ask him. I've told him so many times, Mr. Anthony, but he keeps saying that he wants to wait until he gets enough money to establish a home. But I can't go on this way because I'm alone every night in the week. And when my friends come, I'm so embarrassed that I don't know what to do because they always find me alone.
I see. Well, have you pointed all of these things out to your husband?
I did tell him time and time again, but he seems to give me the same story all the time.
He feels that his children come first. Well, you don't deny him. You don't want to deny
No, I
him.
don't.
Just a moment, madam. You don't want to deny him the companionship and friendship of his children, do you?
No, I don't.
But you do. You would like to have him return after his visits to them at an hour that you can have some benefit of his company. Is that your point? Well, you're asking very little, I imagine. I see no reason why your husband cannot grant the wish. It seems to be a desirable thing to do. You see, I believe, however, that you're placing too much importance upon the establishing of a home. The home that you have is a home. Does he carry that home? Does he provide for it?
He doesn't support me properly. No, not in the proper way.
He's able to support you better. Is that right?
Yes, he certainly is.
I see. He's able to support you better, and he doesn't do that. Now you ask me, the question you ask me is whether or not you ought to speak to your children and ask them to help. I must interrupt. At this moment. We'll continue with your case in just a moment, madam. But right now, here's the news bulletin.
Washington, President Roosevelt will address the joint session of Congress at noon tomorrow. Keep tuned to this station for further development.
All right. Now, you might go ahead with that. question then seems to be whether or not to speak to your husband's children and ask them to help you in securing the cooperation of their father. That's about the problem. Is that right? Well,
I would like us all to be together, Mr. Anthony.
Have you talked to the children at any time? Are you friendly with them during this period of a year? Are you friendly?
Just the girl.
And what about the boy?
Well, the boy isn't so very friendly.
How long did you know this man before you married him?
Just a year.
A year. And during that period of a year, were you friendly also with the children?
No, I wasn't.
In other words, you might have reason to believe that they resented their father's marriage to you.
I think that might be the reason. Maybe he doesn't want to hate my feelings. He tell me that. Because he always has a different excuse to offer me.
I see. Well, do you think that you could approach these children in a manner so sympathetic that they might be able to see your side of this problem?
You need to tell them about my condition?
Well, that's only one thing that you'd have to tell them. You'd have to tell them the truth. Tell them that you're in love with their father, that you hope to make good wife and a good home for him, but that you would like to also include them in your plans, that you'd like to have them, too, in your home.
I would like to have them. I could do anything to make her happy. I treat her like a sister.
Well, I think that might be advisable if you can approach them in a manner so that they might feel sympathetic toward you. Beyond that, I might caution you against one thing, and that is a rash action on your part. Don't do anything hastily. If you had contemplated breaking up this marriage or leaving your husband, by no means do that. I think that would be a great mistake. Perhaps your husband may realize his responsibilities as soon as he finds that he is again a father, and perhaps by that time he might be able he might still be doing something to relieve the tension between his children and you. And if he's able to accomplish that and the introduction of the new child into the family, perhaps some arrangement can be made. But if I were in your place, I think I'd talk to those children. I don't see how any harm can be done, and perhaps a great deal of good can come out of it. I would do that if I were in your place.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anthony.
Mr. Anthony, before introducing the next case, Mr. Withers has some excellent advice. Friends, if you're thin and run down, weak as water, nervous and irritable from lack of vitamin D and iron, you can say,
Oh, what's the use? I guess I'm just meant to be skinny and miserable. I might as well make the best of it. All the same, I don't get much fun out of life.
or here's what you can do. You can try ironized yeast. That's what Mrs. Mabel Lyle of Lyndon, Washington did when she was feeling nervous and run down from lack of vitamin D and iron. Listen to the letter she writes to Mr. Anthony telling of the amazing change ironized yeast has made in her.
Now I have a wonderful appetite, sleep like a tired youngster, and certainly don't feel so nervous anymore. I've gained about 10 pounds. When people remark how well I look, I always recommend ironized yeast.
Thank you, Mrs. Lyle. And friends, it's because we know of so many thousands of similar experiences that we urge you, if you're thin, nervous, and run down from lack of vitamin D and iron, to try ironized yeast. But be sure you get the genuine ironized yeast. Other yeast and iron tablets are not the same. So ask for ironized yeast by its full name and look for the big letters IY on the package and on each tablet. Now, Mr. Anthony, the case of Miss L.W. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Anthony, I've always wanted to be an actress, and thanks to the help of my parents, I had this dream realized this past summer. After 4 years of study...
You mean dramatic study?
Dramatic study.
Mm-hmm.
I went into summer stock, and my parents paid for it. I came back. I didn't get anything immediately, and I felt that I couldn't continue to take money from my parents any longer. And I got a job in the evening. I feel that I'm not happy at my work. It isn't what I want to do, but I don't want to give it up because my mother isn't a well woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel any money that I would be taking from my parents would also be taking money from my mother, bettering my mother's health.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what to do. Give up my career and just forget about it, or keep on with my job or what.
And how old did you say you were?
I'm 19 years old.
19. You find that trying to secure theatrical work and maintaining your present work is too strenuous for you? Is that what you're
Yes,
trying to make me
all day
see?
long I walk around to the different theatrical offices, and then I don't get home until about 11 o'clock at night.
Well, my dear, you want to be an actress, don't you?
That's right, and they say you have to suffer if you want anything that badly.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not happy with the work that I'm doing now.
But it is a means to an end, is it not? And that is a means of not taking money from your parents, something that's distasteful to you. Isn't that true?
That's right. It isn't as though we were in dire circumstances, but the money could be used to better my mother's health.
Mm-hmm. And you feel that no matter what work you do, you're relieving them of that burden.
That's right.
Well, suppose the work is distasteful for the time being. You don't expect to make, or you don't hope to make a career of that type of work, do you?
No, I don't.
You would like to make a career of being an actress. Is that true?
That's right.
Well, you're 19. You're young. And career you've chosen for yourself is one that requires long uphill climb most often, unless you have very, very great talent. But if you feel that you've been trained sufficiently, if you feel that your life's work is in the theater, by no means give up that hope, that dream, or that desire. Keep at it. Of course, it's going to be difficult. It's difficult for most young people to get a start in any profession. But this profession you love. You want it, and you want it probably more than anything else that you can think of. The fact that the work you're doing now is a bit distasteful shouldn't dishearten you, because if you do, if you permit this to dishearten you, then what can we think of the heartbreaks that you might have to undergo once you've... In other words, once you have reached the charm pinnacle, as it were, of godly theater, once you've secured work in the theater and you love that work, that doesn't mean that these heartbreaks you speak of and think of are going to be any lessons. They will simply be transferred to another field. You might feel yourself now, during your youth, to being able to stand these shocks. I would continue the work that I was doing if I were in your place, and I still would continue to try to find a spot for myself in the theater. I think you can do both without a great deal of effort. That is, more effort that would be required in any other field. I think you ought to keep right on doing that, and perhaps through that means accomplish what you're trying to do with your life. I see no reason for you to give up your employment, and I certainly see no reason for you to give up the hope of becoming an actor. That's the way I feel.
Thank you very much.
Our next case, Mr. Anthony, Mrs. S.J.
Go
Mr.
ahead, please.
Anthony, my case concerns my mother-in-law. She's a woman of 81 years of age, and she's in the hospital with a stroke. Now, Mr. Anthony, my husband's two older brothers and I agree that when she comes out of the hospital, that we should put her in an institution where she will receive the proper care and medical attention. We figure that we cannot give her the help she needs home, being that we all have large families.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 6 children and a store to take care of and a sick husband. Now, Mr. Anthony, anything you advise us to do, we will do.
In other words, what you're endeavoring to tell me is that there's divided opinion in the family as to whether or not your mother, did you say?
Mother-in-law.
Your mother-in-law should be placed in a home or in an institution after her release from the hospital. This woman is now 81 years old.
Yes.
And you feel that the attention and care she would receive in an institution would be far superior to that the children in the family can provide for. Is that true?
Mr. Anthony.
Now, taking your story at its face value, in other words, believing that the children cannot provide the kind of attention a woman will require, there seems to be no alternative but to place her in a home. As a matter of fact, I have recommended that procedure. Care provided by immediate members of the family would be almost as good as could be provided in the hospital. Because I feel, and in a sick condition, more companionship, congenial surroundings find within the confines of the home and of her children. I believe it would serve the purpose of all the members of the family far better, including the mother, if the woman were placed in an institution. That's my advice.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Anthony.
Now, before considering the next case, Mr. Frank, I have a word for our listeners. Friends, the crying need of defense industries today is for men and women who can work long hours and at top speed. Yet thousands lack the required strength and energy. And if you're such a person, then what Roland Winters has to say may be of vital importance to you.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony. Friends, if you're so all in, you can't keep going all out for defense, if you're miserably tired, weak, and on edge, gradually losing weight, then you'd better check up. Very possibly you're simply not getting sufficient vitamin D and iron. Listen. Without enough vitamin D, you may lack appetite, not eat enough to maintain normal weight and strength. And without enough iron, you may be weak, pale, and tired. But why go on with that deficiency when you can get these exact missing substances, both vitamin D and iron, in ironized yeast? Remember, too, you try ironized yeast with its definite promise. If it doesn't help you to eat better, to sleep better, to feel much stronger, more alive, if you're not convinced ironized yeast will help you gain just the pounds of new, firm flesh you need, if, in short, you're not 100% satisfied with the results, the full cost of the first bottle will be refunded to you by the Ironized Yeast Company, Atlanta, Georgia. Fair enough, isn't it? Remember the name, Ironized Yeast Tablet. Now, Mr. Anthony, the case of Mrs. T.C.
And may I take just a moment of your time, madam? A message has just been handed to me telling me that our wires are being flooded with help offered the case of Mrs. T.R., the 60-year-old woman who spoke here a moment ago, and all I want to say at this time is, God bless the collective heart of America. For even in trying times like these, their hearts ache people whose hearts go out to another fellow human being in need. God bless all of you. Now go ahead, madam.
Mr. Anthony, I've been married 23 years, and at the present time, I'm seriously thinking about giving up my home and leaving my husband and setting up a home for my two grown sons and myself. My husband gambled years ago several $100s. I had some money saved at the time, and I paid his debts for him. Then he lost his job, and we went through 7 trying years, during which time I worked to help keep up the home. Mm-hmm. And though we were poor, we were happy, and I never thought that we'd hear anything about loans again. About a year ago, we received a terrible shock when he again told me that he was in debt for several $100s.
And all these debts have been incurred as a result of gambling, did you say?
Yes, Mr. Anthony. There was no money there then to pay for these debts, and I have to pay them monthly, which is quite a hardship because he only earns $25 a week. About a month ago, a letter came to the house addressed to him, which I opened, and in it was a receipt for another payment on an entirely new loan.
I see. This was taken, this loan was secured without your knowledge?
All of them were. We never received a cent from
All
them.
right.
Now, Mr. Anthony, do you think I'd be doing the wise thing while I'm still able to work to leave this man and set up a home for my two grown sons and myself?
I see. 23 years of marriage would then simply be cast by the wayside, and you were to attempt to establish a home for your sons and yourself. Is that right?
Well,
Is that what's in your mind?
yes, he'd like to do that.
And all because your husband has been pursuing a rather foolish course of living.
Yes, he can't seem to bring him to his senses each time.
I disagree there wholeheartedly. I think the man can be made to understand what his responsibilities are. Now, that might not be possible by the members of his immediate family. It might, however, be possible by someone outside the family. Seek professional help in that regard. I don't know what good I might be able to do, but I certainly would be willing to help the family stay together if it were possible for me to speak to the husband. In other words, if you were to bring your husband here to me and let me see what is disturbing this man, because there must be something disturbing him if he keeps doing these things. It doesn't seem to be a logical action. There must be something disturbing him, and perhaps I might be able to determine what that is. But, however, let me caution you. I don't think that you could possibly find sufficient happiness to compensate you for the loss that might be incurred through this breaking up of the family unit. There is nothing, madam, that can replace 23 years of marriage. You've built up something in those 23 years that an attempt to tear down, even though they might not have been as happy as you would like to have them, an attempt to tear those 23 years down would probably react with greater unhappiness rather than the happiness you expect to find. Before you attempt any such rash action, my advice to you would be, bring your husband here. Let me speak to him and let me see if it's not possible to keep this family unit together.
I'll be very glad to do that. Thank you very much.
Now, our next case, Mr. Anthony, Mr. M.V.
All right, sir. Go ahead, please. Very young, mister. How old are you?
I'm going to be 16 years old.
You're going to be 16. All right, son. Go ahead.
A year ago, I graduated junior high school, and I had a very good average. But my ambition was to go to a vocational school. But my parents refused to let me go and made me go to a plain ordinary general school. I've been going to the school for 1 year, but I lack interest in all my subjects. So I still want to go to this vocational school. But now that this vocational school is taking pupils, I want to go back to it, but my parents refuse to let me go. I want your advice, Mr. Anthony, that whether I should lose a year and go back to the school or still remain here.
I see. It's not really a question of your parents refusing to permit you to return to the school that you like. It's their suggestion that you don't. Isn't that what you mean, young man? They believe you ought to remain in your present school and continue your schooling from that point on. But you, on the other hand, would like to enter a vocational school where some vocational work will be taught you so that you might be able to go out in the world and earn your own living. Is that right?
But my parents, they want to send me to the school in order to go to college.
Yes, I understand that. That's exactly what I said. In other words, that they wanted you to continue with your schooling after you've completed your present school, but you, on the other hand, would like this vocational school so that you might be able to learn a trade or some vocation and be able to earn your livelihood. Is that right? Your marks, you tell me, are not as good as they might be as a result of your not liking the work?
Well, when I graduated this junior high school, I had very good marks. But now I lack interest in all my subjects, and I don't pay any attention in class, and that's why my marks are...
Well, if I were your parents, I would permit you to go to the vocational school. However, you must be able to convince your parents that would be the logical course to follow. I'm going to offer you the same suggestion I offered the lady that spoke here a moment ago. I should like to speak not only to you, but to your parents. I think that after we've discussed the matter quite thoroughly amongst all of us, that we will be able to arrive at a proper conclusion as to whether or not you ought to continue in your present school or you ought to be permitted to follow your own inclinations and go to this vocational school. You see, in most of these instances, this is generally what happens. The parent doesn't believe that his child has a sufficient amount of intelligence to determine for himself, and therefore they're always careful about giving you permission to go to another school. That's what it is. All right. Then I'm going to ask you and your parents to see me any day this coming week at your convenience.
Now, Mr. Anthony gives us his closing message, taken from his latest and greatest book, Marriage and Family Problems and How to Solve Them.
Looking forward. What a beautiful phrase that is. If we could all only have those two words as our guiding philosophy, hope and expectancy and a youthful spirit are all embodied in that phrase. But so many of us spend our precious store of hours looking backward, living in the past, using up our energies and abilities in futile reminiscence. Remember, my friends, faith is what you make it. If your love and faith and courage are strong enough, you can find, even in sorrow, a greater love, a greater faith, a higher courage.
Friends, have you ever... More men are shaving with Mole brushless shaving cream than ever before. And here's why. Mole speeds up shaving. You spread it over your face as fast as you can move your fingertips. And Mole leaves your face feeling fit and fine. It contains a special emollient oil, friends, which provides a thin film of protection for your razor to ride on. So join the thousands who get better-looking, better-feeling shaves with Mole. Ask for a tube or jar at any drug counter. Ask for Mole
spelled M-O-L-L-E. Molle. This is the Blue Network of the National Broadcasting Company.